Bitter about those things, and I am. If you read about me having a heart attack and I died in my sleep tonight, I've had an amazing life. I wouldn't trade it for anything. You running out of questions? Or do you have something you want to ask me?
Well, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to hear kind of about experiences that you remember, that you feel like that you want to share it with us, or
About Vietnam?
Yeah.
The first time I realized, not counting that first day in the field, because they were killing us. We were just trying to survive. They caught us in a big open paddy, and people were wounded. Kind of like in the movies. Kind of guys were wounded, and we couldn't see them, and they were 1,000 yards away. They would pick people off, and guys were wounded out there dying, and guys trying to go get them would get shot. We never saw them. We kind of did, but mostly didn't. You're covering, you're firing back. We have the best weapons in the world, most high-tech weapons in the world. These guys had 1942 World War II German Mausers, 9mm German Mausers, one shot at a time, bolt action. They pinned us down. We had the highest tech weapons you can imagine. We called it airstrikes. Airstrikes. And we'd wipe out trees. They would bomb them with napalm, and our artillery, they would just wipe them out. And we'd get up to move, and they'd shoot one of us. And boy, talk about feeling helpless. There was nothing we could do. And the way to get them in a situation like that is we all get online, and we have automatic weapons, M16s and M60 machine guns. And they teach you to not charge, but to walk forward online. And then you just saturate the area with artillery, your weapons, with your bullets. And we would. One of us would fall down. We didn't hit a single one of them. We never saw them. So that's one experience. And probably the experience that to this day stands out was we did called search and destroy. That means we search things out and then we destroy the villages. And we would go into towns, and these civilians would run and scream because the Americans were coming. And dirty, rotten bastards would catch them and rape them. But the thing that stood out the first time was this beautiful old man. He had a green hat on and a silk. He was dressed in silk. A beautiful green hat. He had a goatee, a beautiful skin, white hair, and a beautiful light pastel green top with green pajama bottoms. I think he had black shoes. And he was dead. That stands out. He didn't do anything. He wasn't the Viet Cong. He was North Vietnamese. He didn't have a weapon. He was just a beautiful human being in his country. And I've never forgotten that. I didn't kill him. He looked like somebody had dressed him or something. He was just a beautiful human being in his own country, and he was dead. That stands out. And there were other things. There are combat things. Hand grenades. You know what a tunnel rat is? I wasn't assigned to be a tunnel rat, but since I was kind of small, I got volunteered. And what they do is the Viet Cong have an amazing complex of tunnels underground, and they were everywhere. We would be right on top of them. We would not even know. But sometimes they were just little tunnels, this big. And so one of us, they usually take one of the small guys, and we knew they were in there. I don't know why we had to go get them. I guess they felt we did. You know, and the artillery couldn't kill them, and hand grenades only go so far, and weapons didn't do any good because they crawl back in there, and then they go back 50, 100 yards, 200 yards. We never even knew. They just go. And then sometimes we'd go back in there and find little towns. We'd find dwellings underground. But getting back to the tunnel rats, there'd be little holes like this. And those dirty guys went in there. And they'd go hide. So we'd go after them. Not we. We'd get a guy with a Colt 45, an automatic weapon. And we'd climb in there. In that hole. And they're in there waiting for you. You know. And they see you coming and you can't see them at all. So you'd have a flashlight if you felt like you needed one. And you'd have a 45. Just like this, you'd have your flashlight here. And you're walking and you're crawling, you're on your belly, and there's no room to breathe, there's nothing. And you know, Viet Cong, I probably generally were pretty small people, I think, you know. I know I was twice as big as they were, and I was 140 pounds, you know. For the most part, they seemed to be very small frame. Great soldiers, though, great warriors. So we would be on our bellies, I'd be on my belly, crawling in into that stupid hole that a rabbit could fit in. A little bit bigger, but not much bigger. And you'd squirm in, you know. You're crawling in, you've got your 45 cocked, and you've got it in front of you. And if you see something, you shoot it. So that's pretty unnerving. Crawl into a little tiny hole. They're waiting for you. They see you. Let's see what else. White phosphorus. You know what white phosphorus is? You should look up some of these things. White phosphorus is it's a substance. It's in bombs, and it's phosphorus. And it explodes. When you see them in the movies, they look like pretty neat fireworks. They go fingers, and it's white, and it's phosphorus. And if you know what phosphorus is, it burns. And you can't put it out because as long as there's oxygen, it'll burn until it's finished burning. So you can't put water on it because water has oxygen in it. You can try, but it'll burn because it'll suck the oxygen out of the water. And so you'd see human beings that get bombed with that and survive. Sometimes it burn through them. Through their side, through their arms, through their hands, burn their faces off. Yeah. And multiply that by 1,000. You know, it's just like I said, I wouldn't want my kids to ever experience that. Mostly not mostly, but obviously I wouldn't want to lose them. You know, I wouldn't want them to die. But political reasons, that's the only reason we were there. It was terrible. Found out after the fact, actually not too long ago, just a few years ago, found out that Robert McNamara, who was a Secretary of State, could have gotten us out of Vietnam when we only had about, and when I say only, I don't mean just only, but there were about 5,000 to 7,000 GIs that had been killed. But they kept us in there for political reasons. You know, about 58,000 were killed. So they kept us there. For nothing. And those hurt. That hurts as much as anything I ever witnessed. Anything at all. You know. But it's kind of hard to explain that to somebody now, you know. They don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear these things. I don't want to talk about it, and they don't want to hear it, so it works out just fine, you know. Then politically, with Iraq, you know, even Afghanistan, we thought Afghanistan was a legitimate war that we should continue, we should go into. And I believed in it at first, because, you know, that's where all the terrorists are coming from, okay? But now it's turned around. We should be out of Afghanistan. We shouldn't even be in the Middle East. There's nothing there for us. But it's good politically, and it sells newspapers, and your uncles are going to die, and your brothers